All right, Coach, can you give us just your general thoughts on the game against Seattle and then some really standout individual performances that you saw in the game?
Yeah, look, the general feeling is that we left a little on the table there. That was the feeling after the match within the locker room. Just the circumstance, right? It's a red card. We have some time to try to get a few goals, but the reality is we would have to be better. We would have to be better, even better, with the ball, certain amounts of patience, trying to move them around a little bit more, decision-making, quality. So, yeah, there's a reality and then the feeling, but which I think is actually good. And I told them that today again, that Colorado Rapids 2024, we're pissed off that we didn't get full 3 points in Seattle. That's a good thing, guys. We're really believing we're winners. We're thinking like winners. And then in the end, to fight back, going down a goal again, to being tough to play against, in their building against a good team, we know a point is also a good thing. Individual performances, yeah, listen, I thought Moïse and Maxu, like we say 2 bodies, 1 mind. We thought they did a really nice job again. I think Sam Vines showed some real aggressiveness on the day. We've been asking him to keep pushing, and we saw that. Look at Cole Bassett's playing as a double pivot. I thought he showed up in a real way on the day. It was a presence in there, and along with Oliver, again, 2 bodies, 1 mind. I thought those guys were strong. So yeah, to name a few.
And on the topic of Ollie, he's been getting a lot of really valuable first-team minutes this season. What have you just seen from him and really growing into this role and meshing well with the guys that he's been training with for years now at this point?
Yeah, look, as a head coach, you bring a certain style of play, and our style of play revolves around intensity. So it's 2 things. 1, I have to coach a team to play with more intensity, but it is also helpful when you can put guys out there that play with intensity naturally. I think he sleeps with intensity. So oftentimes Ollie would say, we got to calm down. Less is more. Come on, slow yourself down a little bit physically and then mentally. But I had the pleasure of being around Tyler Adams for a long time, and he was a guy that could energize his team with his energy, with his enthusiasm. He can cover ground. Endless tank of runs and repeating sprints, and Oliver's doing that role for us right now. You can see even late in the game these big recovery runs that just put out a fire. We say the only guys I don't like are the ones I can't find, and I could always find him. He's always there, like showing up, and he comes every day to get better, and I love his attitude.
And heading into 2 home games, coming off of 2 road games, it's a bit of a flipping the script, understanding what the environment will be like. What does that look like in terms of the guys' outlook and training, knowing that they're about to be back in front of home fans and in their comfortable environment?
Look, we want to ride momentum. The momentum we've had from day 1 in preseason, and the group. We have a group right now that, when you talk about all in, pulling in the same direction, feeding off each other, running for the next guy, sharing the ball, sticking together. I told them in Portland, this is going to pay dividends. The way they stuck together and fought and didn't give in. So the energy that's in our team, that's building, getting some results, scraping results in tough places against good teams, is the first part, and then the next part is our fans. They were. I thought they were great in game 1. I hope that the building is full again. We need them. The way they're celebrating the way we play, and we're playing for them. That I'm looking forward to putting our team out there, going for 3 points at home in front of our fans that get behind us. So we have a great week of weather here, and we're gonna use it to the best of our ability.
You saw another new wing combination in Seattle. It's almost been a new one every game. Is that going to continue in Houston, or are you guys kind of close to nailing down a set of starting wings?
Look, it's a good question, and I think, as you can see, I'm a coach that I won't just sit still watching. So I'm going to be aggressive. I'm asking the players to be aggressive. I ask the coaching staff and myself be aggressive. So we're looking for solutions. We think we're defending fairly well right now in terms of not giving up a ton, and we need to score more goals. So trying to ignite the attack in different ways. We've seen Darren Yappy every single game off the bench. He's been really electric. He's been instant energy. So we say, okay, like, how do we get him on? Do we stick to a similar system? But we had a match plan that targeted space on that side, which we knew would be there, which it was. We didn't capitalize on it, but again, we tried to do it. We thought, why not have that instant energy from the start, just logically? Yeah, it was like our offense on the day, yeah, just okay. And if our decision making is better, if maybe there's a few goals there. So to answer your question, I think we're trying to figure that out, and I think it's there for the taking. We have a bunch of attackers. We have a nice winger group. I think it's there. No decisions made right now for sure. We're looking for a guy that grabs it.
And then you mentioned how the defense has been playing well. Obviously, with Bombi out, going with the Canadian national team. How are you guys planning on sort of supplementing that loss and implementing maybe some new defensive faces?
Look, I always see it as opportunity. I believe in all these guys. I swear I do. So obviously Michael Edwards and Lalas are two really good options there. Moïse has had a good start. He keeps improving, and yeah, it's hard to replace his top end speed and some of this, but we'll gain in other areas. So we'll look at the week, think about the opponent in the next couple of days, and we know we have two good options who can come in.
How far do you think the development has come since preseason started?
I see big progress. I tell the guys all the time, it's not about perfection, it's progression. Just seeing baby steps. We talk about 1% around here, the marginal gains, 1% better at everything. So I'm looking at the fine details that I think from the outside I'm not so sure it can be seen, but we were a team that was largely man-oriented in the past, and we are now ball-oriented. We're moving as a unit. The reactions when we lose the ball, fantastic. Like, again, I'm looking at this. Can it be better? Yes, it has to get better. But the way the team is operating as a unit, for me, is we've come a long way in really short time. Yeah, and listen, the hardest part of the game is to get the attack right. So the structure, the timing, the sharpness. We're in early season form with this. Some new attackers, Georgie finding his space in the middle of it all. But I do see progress, and I certainly see a team that's hard to play against and hard to beat and hungry to win.
Coach? Go ahead. You've seen Omir kind of come in the last two games with a bigger role than early in the season. How much has his familiarity with you helped the guys around him, both on the field and in training? Yeah,
I think for him it's a new start for him, right? And what I tell him is to be an example of what counter-pressing looks like, what defensive behaviors should look like. But then with the ball, his gift is football. He has it in his veins a little bit, a certain calmness, a certain level of intelligence when to arrive. He almost scores this last game from arriving at the right moment, and he has a couple of good actions. And I think when all of us start clicking in that part of the pitch, he'll get to show more. Georgie will get to show more. And it's not one guy pulling all the strings. It's they all kind of have to contribute to this. Our history together, yeah, I think it's some of the vocabulary comes in, it's the same, but what I tell him is just, keep committing physically to games and tactically, and the football will come, and be an example of what our football should look like, which and which he knows. And yeah, it's helpful having a guy that understands the principles and a lot of the same similarities in the style of play.
Chris, thanks for your time.
Yeah, sure.
When we spoke a few weeks ago about Oliver, you mentioned 2 points. One, he reminded you of yourself.
Did I say that?
I looked at my notes. 2, and he was your kind of a guy. So in other words, being in this pivot role, really hustle, and such. So along those lines, as a developing player, what have you imparted, or your coaching staff have started to impart on him as Oliver the student, Oliver the developing player? What do you communicate? Just a couple
Yeah,
of
there's
points.
a lot. We have unit meetings, individual work, and development plans. There's conversation. I cut games, and I pick things, the tiny nuances, to say, Ali, stop by, let's look at this. He has his unit meetings with Ian Sarakin, him and Connor Ronan, and these guys. Cole Bassett will be in that meeting this week, but they look at the tiny details too. I said it to you probably back then, like less is more. Can we do more with a little bit less running, with less fighting, less touches? That's not so easy. So I try to talk about some of the things that Bob Bradley used to talk to me about in the middle of the pitch, some of the, playing forward and your spacing and where you're at and looking over your shoulder. And, for him, this is the big messaging from me to him. And again, if I was 22 and I'm getting these messages passed on from a former player who played in that position at a good level, he's hungry. He's a sponge for it. So I try not to overload him with information. I try to encourage him to trust himself on the pitch, but to show him the little nuances, which aren't 10 nuances new each week. It's the same little things. Today I said it. Come on, it's a +1 when you have the ball. So how many times do we have to start running forward, or just stay in the middle of the pitch? Less is more. Can you do more with less? Not just less is more, less. It's can I be more effective with a little bit less running and stuff? So more about positioning and facilitating. And of course, he's always going to put out fires, and of course, he's going to be an engine. So in these training sessions, it's about how sharp can his passes be. Sometimes he's smashing a ball too hard to the next guy. Can you deliver it to the right foot in the right moment? So it's this. I'm offering this little bit of this when I know he's coming with this. So
Understood.
He's a sponge for sure.
And given that you compliment him about being all around the field, sort of like an ever-ready battery bunny, you're also trying to control that a little bit?
It's important. Listen, it's just important for a player. If you don't know why you're running, stop running. It's really just getting him to. My job is to help each player become the best player they can be, and then of course the team. For him, it's just when you watch him play. If you run by him, he's huffing and puffing. He cares so much. It's what his biggest strength is. That he's the one who, I think, draws the foul for the free kick goal. Right? He's the guy that puts out a fire late. Up a man, he cuts out the cross and starts the next attack. It's not to do any less of what makes him good. You know, we love that he's covering the ground. It's really talking about the nuances that how much of Rodri, how much of Busquets can he add into his game? That's really what I'm trying to. And I wasn't those players, right? But I watched the top players and tried to take from a Claudio Reyna, the guys around me that, wow, like we're so calm and cool and know exactly where they are at all moments. This is what I'm trying to help him add without losing the other part of it.
Very good. So, thank you, sir.
Last one, Coach. With Lamine, how's he doing in his ramp up to game fitness and integrating into the system?
Today was another step forward for Lamine, getting more comfortable in general here in Denver, getting more comfortable with the team, getting more comfortable with the tactics, getting fitter. We're off of the turf. We're on some nice grass, which is more comfortable for him. So I think he's making nice strides.